Representative democracy. It seems like such a beautiful thing. The majority of people elect a representative to introduce and vote on bills that reflect their values and interests. I'm just fucking with you. It's where rich people get their way and you get shafted. Let's get into it. Researchers at Princeton University looked at more than 20 years worth of data, around 1,779 policies, to answer a simple question. Whose opinion matters when it comes to passing policy in America? Their findings were not surprising. They looked into 4 different theoretical traditions in the study of American politics. Majoritarian electoral democracy, basically if the majority of people want something, how often does it pass? Elite domination, if the wealthy want something, how often does it pass? Majoritarian pluralism, interest groups made up of regular people, and biased pluralism, interest groups specifically developed to represent the interest of businesses and corporate elites. Now, as an average American, you may have been telling yourself for years that voting is pointless, because no matter what happens, politicians on both sides of the aisle will simply grease the hands of their wealthy contributors and special interest groups, whilst leaving the average working American out in the cold. Guess what? You're right. Your opinion statistically means nothing in the way your elected politicians introduce or vote on bills. Plainly put, you don't count in the current system. For more on this, we're going to get into a little section we call the catch-up. The Princeton study revealed that majoritarian electoral democracy, what the majority of people want, and majority pluralism, groups set up to represent the interest of the majority, statistically have zero impact on whether or not a bill is passed in America. In fact, the study showed that if 1% of Americans were in favour of a specific policy, that policy had a predicted 30% probability of adoption. However, if 99% of Americans were in favour of a policy, that policy had a whopping prediction of 32% probability of adoption. Is that it? 2%. That's the increase. You're kidding. On the other hand, economic elite domination, what wealthy contributors want, and biased pluralism, what interest groups set up to represent wealthy donors and corporations want, do have a significant impact on whether a bill is passed in the good old US of A. The figures showed that if 1% of corporate interest groups and corporate lobbyists were in favour of a specific policy, that policy had a predicted 4% probability of adoption. If, however, the same corporate interest groups had a 99% favourability rating on a policy, that policy had a predicted 56% probability of adoption, and that number rose again to over 60% if elite contributors were also in favour of said policy. Let me make this clear. Representative democracy in the United States isn't working. You are not being represented by those you elect to positions of power. There is, however, a way to beat the system, a way to ensure your opinions are heard, and should you be in the majority, represented in Congress. If your representative is taking corporate PAC money, whether that be at the local level, in the House or in the Senate, or even running for the highest office in the land, if he or she isn't solely funding their campaign through individual, private donations from real people, then fire their ass. Vote them out of office, and vote for representatives determined to fight for a constitutional amendment removing corporate money from US politics. Fire Donald Trump in November. Fire every single Republican. Hell, fire every corporate Democrat. And vote for a progressive. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell so you stay up to date with all of our videos.